Sri Gurubhyo Namaha children. Sri R.M. Jain Group of School welcomes you all to Online Teaching Academy E-Kalaiva. For 10th standard economics, we are going to learn a lesson, Globalization and the Indian Economy. So in our previous session, we learnt about the foreign trade and integration of markets, impact of foreign trade. In that, we have seen that liberalization of foreign trade and investment in India was supported by some very powerful international organization, children, isn't it? This organization says that all barriers to foreign trade and investment are harmful. So there should be no barriers at all. Trade between countries should be free, and all countries in the world should liberalize their policies. So this WTO is one such organization whose aim is to liberalize foreign trade. This WTO, or the World Trade Organization, is an international organization, children, that is concerned with the regulation of international trade between countries. This WTO establishes rules regarding international trade. So they establish the rules regarding the international trade, and they will see that these rules are obeyed by all the countries, all the member countries. And actually they had 165 countries as its member on July 26, 2016. So they had more than 165 countries as their members. Though this WTO is supposed to allow a free trade to all the people, in practice, it is seen that the developed country have unfairly retained trade barriers. That is, this WTO, they had stopped asking the countries to stop the trade barriers, but many developed countries, they have unfairly retained the trade barriers. And on the other hand, the WTO rules have forced the developing countries like India. So they have forced the developing countries like India to remove the trade barrier on one hand, but on the other hand, the developed country have unfairly retained the trade barrier. So let us see the functions of WTO. So its main function is to establish rules for international trade. So the WTO, that is the World Trade Organization, establishes rules for the international trade, and it will ensure that the rules that has been established by the WTO has been followed correctly, and then it will promote, and it is promoting removal of restriction on the trade barrier. So these are the functions of WTO. Now let's see what are the impact of globalization in India. Actually, children, globalization and greater competition among producer, that is both the local and the foreign producer, has been of advantage to consumer. On the consumer side, if you see, it is an advantage only. Actually, particularly the well-off sections in the urban areas, they are benefited a lot. The reason is there is a great choice before these consumers who now enjoy improved quality and lower prices for several products. So those who are in the urban areas, in their reach, they get many varieties of goods, many varieties of products, and that too in a lower price. So they are enjoying their life. So as a result, these people enjoy higher standard of living than it was not possible before the globalization. So it was not possible earlier, but now the consumer, they are having advantage of this globalization. But it's not the same on the side of producers and the workers. The impact of globalization is not uniform for all these three, consumer, producer and worker. It is not the uniform. Here we can see some large Indian companies such as the Tata Motors, Asian Paints, Infosys. So these are some large Indian companies, children. The globalization has enabled some large Indian companies to emerge as multinational themselves. So some of the companies in India, some of our Indian companies has now emerged as a multinational companies. So we should be proud about this. Now let's see on the other side, the small producers. So the small producer, they are suffering a lot. They need to compete with the globalization, with the global market, or they will perish, children. So it is a very, very big challenge, a major challenge for the small producer and workers, because they have to keep pace with the globalization. These are some of the products. The small producer, they produce some, this is a capacitor, the tires, toys, vegetable oil, and much more products. So these much more smaller products, the persons, those who are producing this small products in the small industries, they suffer a lot. They face many challenges. The reason is it is very hard. This small manufacturers are hit hard due to competition. The reason is due to competition. They are hit very, very hard. Then what happens? Several units have shut down. So when the units have shut down, then many people are jobless now. So many workers are now jobless because of the globalization. So it is a very, very bad impact of globalization in India, children. Even then we have certain positive effect of globalization. So what are they? Better quality product for consumer at lower price. So every day to day, there is upgrading. Many manufacturers are launching new products globally. So we are able to get better quality products now and then in our Indian market also. So it is a very good positive effect of globalization, children. And we have a wide choice which product to be purchased. So like that, we have a wider choice, children, because of globalization. And this worldwide market for Indian producer. So not only we are importing our goods, importing the foreign goods, we are also exporting Indian products globally. So we have a global market. So it is a very good effect of globalization, children, which will help in the capital formation. And not only this, it helps in employment outside India. And there is a good example of IT field. Because of this globalization only, we are able to access to better technology. We can see some negative effect of globalization, children. Actually, this is a threat to small local producer. The reason is they had to shut down their units because they are not able to keep pace with the globalized market. So they need to shut down. So it is a very big threat to the small local producer. Then Because of this MNCs, what happens? There is an outflow of Indian currency to the foreign countries. So mostly the globalization has helped the Indian currency to flow towards the other country. So it is only a profit for the MNCs. So our Indian currency has started to flow to other countries. And ultimately what happens when we are dependent on the MNCs, ultimately there is no other goal, we become a dependent. So this globalization has made the country dependent on others, and this MNCs, they never think about the public interest. So there is no public interest, the people are not given equality, and there is more exploitation of the employees, and many employees are sent out of the company. And there is also a disrupt of social and cultural life of the people. So next, let us see the steps to attract foreign investment. The central and the state government in recent time taking different steps to attract foreign investment by MNC and foreign individual in India. So what are they? First one is declaration of SEZ. The next one is liberalization of labor laws. So what is liberalization of labor laws, children? We have learnt in our previous session about the labor laws. That is, the government has allowed flexibility in the labor law to attract foreign investment. So what it is? So the labor laws are some restriction given by the government to the companies, so that the labor will have a good life and they will have many rights. So now they have given liberalization of labor laws. So the companies in the organized sectors have to obey certain rules that aim to protect the workers. So that is the labor law. But what happens in the recent year, the government has allowed company to ignore many of these labor laws, children. So what does this company do? Instead of hiring worker on a regular basis, this company hire workers flexible for short periods. So when there is intensive pressure on work, then the companies, they will hire workers flexible for short period instead of having them for a regular basis. So this is done to reduce the cost of labor for the company. So this has attracted the foreign investment. But even then, these foreign companies are not satisfied, children. They are still demanding more flexibility in the labor law. Now we can see special economic zone, that is SEZ. So what is SEZ? It is the special economic zone. It is an industrial zone which is called a special economic zone. These are to have world-class facilities like electricity, water, road, storage, recreation, education, etc., where a world-class industries can set up. The companies who set up industries in such areas get tax relief for first few years. Now let us see the steps for a fair globalization. The government can ensure that labor laws are properly implemented and workers get their rights. So this is a very, very important steps that has to be followed by the government. So that is, The government can ensure that labor laws are properly implemented and the workers get their rights. The government has liberalized the labor laws that has to be properly implemented. They should take assurance that the company will not exploit the employees. Then this government can support small producers. So the government can support the small producer financially so that they can improve their performance when until they became strong to compete with the global market. So till then the government can help them financially, and then the government can negotiate with the WTO for fairer rules. So this WTO is not been fair with the developing countries. So the government, our government can negotiate with the WTO, and it can, and also the government, our Indian government, they can also align with other developing countries of the world. So those who are having the same feeling, they can join together. And with the similar interest those who are having, they can fight against the domination of developed countries in the WTO. So in this picture, you can see here it is a protest. The common people, they are protesting, and this is in Hong Kong. So a massive campaign and representation, this is by the people's organization. So they are against the decisions of the WTO. So they are in the street protesting against the decisions of the WTO. So this demonstrated that people can also play an important role in the struggle for fair globalization. So we have come to the end of the session, children. So far we learned about the World Trade Organization, impact of globalization in India, and steps for fair globalization. So actually, a globalization is benefited. So globalization has benefited children, well-off consumer. We have seen that with an example, and also producer with skill, education, and wealth. And but many small producers and workers, they suffer. The reason is the result of growing competition. So only a fair globalization would create opportunity for all children. And also it can ensure that the benefit of the globalization are shared better. So we need to have good steps by the government for a fair globalization, children. Note on the assignment questions, children. What are the advantage of SEZ to MNCs? How can government ensure fair globalization in India? Write a short note on WTO. To get our online lessons, please press the subscribe button and you will receive the latest update, children. Thank you.